Jerry Sloan's offense with the Utah Jazz is usually referred to as the flex offense. It's a patterned offense, meaning that the players can run it as a continuous pattern for as long as the shot clock allows. The basic pattern involves a baseline screen, also called a flex screen, and this flows into a down screen. The idea is to generate open layups or post position from the flex screen, or open jump shots from the down screen. There are various ways to execute this in terms of angle and placement, but the overall concept is screen the screener action, because if you're setting a screen, you'll get open more easily. However, Jerry Sloan's offense was not limited to just the flex pattern. The offense that he ran included several other key components: UCLA cuts, split action, and a heavy dose of pick and roll. We will dive into each of these components in great detail, but it's important to note that all of these elements can blend together. Often, you'll see a UCLA cut flow into flex action, or you'll see a flex screen open up post position, and then that will open up split action. With all of these elements blending together, the Jazz were able to maximize their success on offense with guards who were willing to screen, a dominant low post player, and role players that knew when to cut. When we slow this offense down and really dive into the details, you'll realize the beauty of this system. So let's do just that. Starting with UCLA cuts. Jerry Sloan's UCLA series utilized a 1-4 alignment with a guard on the wing, two big men at the elbows, a forward on the weak side wing, and a cutting guard. The cutting guard will enter the ball to the wing, then perform what's called a UCLA cut, which is cutting from the top of the lane down towards the basket while receiving a back screen from a big man at the elbow. There are so many ways to execute this action, but the first option is for the cutting guard to receive a pass from the wing for a wide open layup. The layup is wide open because the man defending the cutting guard tried to get around the back screen on the outside of the lane. This leaves the paint vulnerable to a cut and a pass over the top of the defense. But if the defense tries to protect the paint by going on the inside of the screen, the guard can fade out towards the perimeter for a baseline jumper. These two plays give you a quick glimpse into how the offense can beat any coverage, but let's get into some more variations. In this example, the Houston Rockets defend this action by having Stockton's man go inside the screen to not allow the easy layup. And Karl Malone's man temporarily helps on Stockton to deny that baseline jumper we just saw. But because Charles Barkley helped on Stockton, he's now out of position to defend Malone, who gets an open jumper. And here, we see that the layup for Stockton is denied well, but Malone gets the ball at the elbow while Stockton seals his man, and this creates a window for a beautiful high-low pass to beat the defense anyway. But remember that these actions can flow into one another, and here we see Howard Eisley start the UCLA cut, but it immediately flows into a pick and roll, and instead of cutting, Eisley is screening out the big man from the pick and roll. This frees up Russell for the open jumper. Another way that actions can flow together is shown in this example, where John Stockton performs the UCLA cut, but instead of looking for the pass, he sets a cross screen for Antoine Carr to get post position. And the important thing to note here is that Carr is immediately doubled in the post. Stockton's man has to decide between defending one of Foster, who is alone in the paint, and Stockton, who is popping out to the perimeter. The pass is made to Stockton, and now Foster's man has to recover, but Foster already had good enough post position for an easy move. Now it's a tight window for Stockton to catch that ball on the cut and make the layup, So if he doesn't have time to make the layup, another option is to make a dump-off pass to Greg Ostertag cutting down the lane. You may have noticed a common theme of all of these examples, which is that the ball is always entered to the wing to make the pass for the UCLA cutter. But what if the initial pass to the wing is denied, like Michael Jordan does to Shandon Anderson here? Well, in that case, the man popping out to the wing can release that pressure with the backdoor cut, draw the big man, and dump it off to his man for a layup. Here's another wrinkle to this series. Instead of cutting through to the basket, the cutting guard can reverse course and set a rip screen for the big man at the elbow. This can open up layups and post-up opportunities for Karl Malone while keeping the defense continually guessing. We've already looked at a bunch of options for this series, but we haven't even mentioned the weak side of the floor yet. And on the weak side, there are two screeners. One is the center and one is the small forward. The cutting guard will continue his cut if he does not get a layup, and run around these two off-ball screens for all sorts of other options. Here's an example of Shandon Anderson using these off-ball screens to get himself an open look. But this offense is great at keeping the defense guessing, so on the biggest stage of basketball, the NBA Finals, when you think that Howard Eisley is going to use these off-ball screens for another open jumper, instead he is the one setting the screen for Hornacek to get an open layup. The reason that was so open was because Ron Harper was so worried about following him around the screens that he didn't even think about switching on to Hornacek until it was too late. And if that's not enough wrinkles for you, there's also the option for the guard to use the screens, but have the small forward screener slip his screen for another layup opportunity. The counters are just endless in this UCLA series. In part 2, we will focus on Jerry Sloan's post-up series, including split action, which is awesome, so be sure to check that one out next.